This is Sylvia. I first drew her in 2012. I was 14, about to enter high school, and I'd spent the last 3 years of middle school designing all sorts of characters and writing stories for them. And while she isn't my first original character, she's always been one of my favorites. Hello, friends, foes, and neutral parties. Today, I'm taking a character I designed many years ago and revisiting her. But today isn't about redesigning her. Oh no. Today is about seeing if this 14-year-old design is actually good, or really bad. To give you a quick character backstory, Sylvia is an android who, through some sort of electrical glitch, gained sentience and ran away from her manufactured purpose, which in this case was entertainment. She was made to sing and dance and do other things to entertain the wealthy and powerful of the sci-fi, cyberpunk city she lived in. As a runaway, she meets other characters and finds a found family among a gang of youths who live in the local junkyard. Sylvia is the only character to survive beyond this story, as I kept her around and continued to draw her over the years. I still really love this character, and she's in my rotation of most drawn OCs. Here you can see a handful of variations she's gone through over the years, as well as how my sense of design evolved in regards to her character. But today isn't about her new design. It's about this one, the original. The first step in this process is to translate the old design into my current art style. I'm keeping it as close to the original as possible, though I'm also borrowing some stuff from another early drawing of her. I don't have exact dates on when these were drawn, but I know both are from 2012. Sylvia's original design has a lot of weird choices, in my current opinion. Like these big arm socks that are very annoying to draw if her arms are angled downwards, and these odd buckles, especially the one connecting her bodice to her skirt. And actually, while I'm on the topic, what's with the closure on the front of her dress? I can only assume I wanted it to look like a corset because I was very into corsets in 2012, but there's no seam indicating that it's two pieces. Anyway, I had fun trying to translate this design. It was really fulfilling to see it drawn by a better artist. As for the colors, there are no colored references of this design. I looked and the earliest thing I could find was this attempt at digital painting from 2013, which was for an alternate universe. But her colors have always been pretty consistent across designs, even into her most recent one, so I pulled colors from the older art I had and then just bullshitted the rest based on vibes. Here's the 2012 and the 2026 versions of the same design side by side. Now, I could stop here. I've translated her old design into my new style, easy peasy, roll the credits. But if there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I don't know how to take the easy way out. To top that, Sylvia has been part of my OC roster for 14 years. That's as many years as I was old when I first drew her. I can't just leave it at a flat sketch and call it a day. So of course, I have to do a fully rendered piece. I'll talk a little bit about my process, but I'd really like to take this time to talk more about Sylvia and where she came from. Once I have my sketch, I do a couple of things to set up the environment of the piece. First, painting a background. I wanted a hazy city at either dawn or dusk, so using a reference photo for colors, I painted some big, dreary clouds. After that, I blocked in a rough, distant cityscape using a brush set by Devin L. Kurtz, who offers these brushes for free on her Gumroad page. Once I'm happy with the background, my next step is to fill the entire space of my sketch with a muted purple that I color picked from the background. Using the colors from my reference, I take a hard round brush at about 80% opacity and I start blocking in the flats. Applying the flats like this at partial opacity makes it so this background purple color interacts with the colors of the character and it helps harmonize all the colors in the scene. It can also produce some fun color effects and combinations that I might not have conjured on my own. With the flats blocked in, I create a multiply layer and start blocking in my shadows with a dark purple color from the background, and my highlights on another layer with a light greenish shade, also from the background. I make a few more tweaks to the colors and play with adjustment layers, and then merge all of those layers down into a single layer, including my line art, and then I go to town rendering it, all with the same hard round brush at 80% opacity. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about character inspiration and lore. I originally drew this character while halfway watching the 2011 sci-fi film In Time, which stars Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried. Now, I could not tell you whether or not I liked the movie at the time, but Rotten Tomatoes informed me that it has a score of 35%. The movie isn't really important to the character, aside from the fact that it takes place in a dystopic future, and I wanted Sylvia to be from that same sort of setting. And also, I totally named her after Seyfried's character in the film, Sylvia Weiss. I just really liked the name and thought it hit the right blend of being unique without being too out there. A pretty big inspiration for the character concept itself was a tech demo I had read about in an issue of Game Informer, a short film called Kara from Studio Quantica Dream. Kara, which is only a few minutes long, is about an android who, in the process of being assembled, gains sentience. She is initially excited to be alive, but as she realizes what her purpose is, to be sold as a product, she becomes distraught and afraid. The operator, the viewer, begins to disassemble her, as her awareness is a bug, but the android pleads to him to let her live. Despite being against protocol, the operator allows her to live, letting her become fully assembled and boxed up with the other androids on the assembly line. I borrowed pretty heavily from this for Sylvia's origin story. The third and final major piece of the puzzle, which you may have already guessed, was none other than the queen herself, Hatsune Miku. I was obsessed with Vocaloid as a teen, and the early 2010s was like peak Vocaloid fandom. You had tracks like World Is Mine, Rolling Girl, and Matryoshka, software like Miku Miku Dance which made 3D animation easy and accessible, and what felt like a very active Western fanbase. Although, the only thing I think I borrowed from Miku was the twin tails and the arm warmers, but my love of her definitely inspired some of Sylvia's character. Sylvia's original iteration was much more innocent, but very quickly I made the decision to make her more mature and like a little edgy. I don't know what brought on that decision, but I'm glad I made it. Her personality is sassy, disillusioned, and at times flirty, though you'll never know if she's being genuine or not. She chain smokes, her synthetic organs immune to the health effects of smoking, though I can't give you a real reason why. Maybe she just thinks it looks cool. She places a lot of her self-worth in other people, and her greatest fear is being unneeded and discarded, because she's wrong for existing. Sylvia knows that her awareness was caused by a bug in her code, a missing semicolon or a faulty connection in her wiring. She knows that her existence is an accident, and she knows that she isn't really a person, not like her friends are. This snarky, carefree exterior is her way of hiding these feelings and keeping the rest of the world at arm's length. Sylvia is one of my favorite characters, both as an actual character and just to draw. I have a deep affection for her, and I love rotating her in my brain. I don't know, I just think she's neat, and I hope you do too. Here is our final piece. I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out, though I was starting to lose steam towards the end of it. To answer the question I posed at the beginning of this video, I do think this design is overall decent. I don't hate it, in fact, I really like it. I'd rate it a 7 out of 10, and that's a passing grade. That's better than the movie scored. Doing this video has made me realize how much I still like this design, and it's made me reconsider some of the design choices I've made over the years. What do you think? Which design do you prefer? Did you enjoy the style of this video? I have a lot of OCs that I'd love to revisit like this, so there may be more videos like this in the future. With that, I'd like to say thank you for spending this time with me today, and I hope you have a lovely evening. Bye! Bye-bye! Goodbye!